Well, hi there. New day, new video. We're in a car. What are we doing? Well, if you go through my channel videos, if you go back far enough, not all the videos are about comics or making comics. Some of the video videos are about technology. One of the things I do is I work with tech. Let me show you. Let's take us up a coffee from a Ubuntu Old Camp mug. Yeah. Anyway, today there's an event happening which I'm going to. It's not been on for a while because of reasons, and it's the Cambridge Raspberry Pi Jam meetup. Got a Raspberry Pi. I'm at the park and ride. Let's go into town and see what all the fuss is about, eh? Cambridge's Raspberry Jam is also known as the Cam Jam, is a meetup for people who are fans or enthusiasts of the Raspberry Pi computer. And here people showcase their projects, the things that they've been using these little machines for, like robotics or small remote controlled cars or games, taking sensor feeds and mapping data, all kinds of things. It hasn't run for a few years, but it's back with a vengeance this year with some workshops and obviously people showing their projects. This is my first visit to the Cam Jam, although I am familiar with the makerspace. I've visited a few times in the past. Here you can see I've just been doing some work with a microbit, or a pair of microbits, and you shake it and then the image appears in the other microbit. And you shake it, the other microbit, and it appears in the other microbit, which is kind of fun. I've adapted it so that it works on button presses because it's just easier if you've got a phone in the other hand, for example. This is another workshop. This one was to try and launch a flying disc using Python with some success. As you can see, the event is well attended. Lots of people turned up for this, and there were lots of work. Also, there was workshops. There was also talks about ballooning with Raspberry Pis, whether or not the Raspberry Pi Pico is a computer. Answer: maybe. There was a soldering workshop and a laser cutting workshop as well. Just outside of the venue, there's the River Cam, people pointing on it. I speculated before that it might have been close to Mathematical Bridge. There you go, that's Mathematical Bridge. So let me tell you a bit about Mathematical Bridge. It's a wooden footbridge, originally built in 1749. It's been rebuilt a couple of times. It's made of a series of straight pieces of wood. People sort of have the idea that it was designed by Isaac Newton, without any use of nuts or bolts. It's kind of, it's a bit of an urban myth. And this guy is famous for playing guitar in a bin. Well, it takes all sorts, I guess.
There was a cool clock there till recently, and someone broke some windows and vandalised the place. Now we ain't got a cool clock no more. Right, we're out of the Raspberry Pi thing, so I'm in town. It'd be rude not to swing by Forbidden Planet and see what they got. Right now I'm cutting the cross to pieces. It's like a bit of a park in the centre of town. Nice. Right, so here we are on Burley Street, and yonder is Forbidden Planet. This, strictly speaking, would be my local store if I actually still was in Cambridge all the time, but I'm not. So let's see what they got. Well, first up they've got a big Doctor Who display here. Some original artwork. Looks like the prints. Interesting. And then we've got some Mandalorian stuff. Mandalorian, I suppose. Nice. Just come out of Forbidden Planet. It's changed a lot. So I would say the back quarter of the shop is manga. There's very little back issues, which is, I suppose, fine. There's loads of Doctor Who stuff. They're really pushing it. Like at the height of the Whittaker run, you couldn't find hardly any merch in like a place like Forbidden Planet. I mean, back in the day, you could get toy sonic screwdrivers from like Tesco. Can't get that now. But I did pick something up. Picked up a James Bond book for 99 pence. So I guess it's a trade paperback. It's from Titan Books. It's called Trouble Spot by Ian Fleming, Jim Lawrence and Yaroslav Horak. It's black and white, and it's just, I mean, yeah, look at that, 99p. Okay, right, I think it's time to go home. Yeah. Hi there. Okay, so back in the car. Finally, it's just gone 5. I left the building at about 3:30. Now, I did stroll up to Forbidden Planet, and from that point onwards, everything went out the window because the buses and the bus shelters are all been moved around. There's no where you normally would catch the bus for the park and ride, that's disappeared. So I had to find a next bus stop. But let's talk about the event. Let's talk about the Cam Jam. It was good. It was okay. There were some good workshops there. I did a laser cutting workshop, which was quite fun. And then also did a soldering workshop, which was useful because I wanted to sort of test my skills, and made this. This guy soldered it all, components. So yeah, I made a robot. Yay! The other workshops were a bit of a mixed bag, and sort of felt like they were sort of thrown together last minute, which is strange because the tickets for them went out ages ago. So first one was a microbit workshop. I want to like the microbit. I really want to. It's 12 quid for a microcontroller, something that you can program and has LEDs and things like this. You can program it with a Scratch-like language. It should be brilliant. It isn't, and it's the big problem I have with it is microbit pitches itself as a low-cost computing project for teaching computing principles. But in order to access or do anything with it, you need a computer. So the barrier to entry, the cost to entry, conservatively, you're talking the best part of 100 quid, because if you have a Raspberry Pi, that's 30 odd quid. You're going to put a keyboard and a laptop on that, a keyboard and a mouse on that. You need a HDMI display, you need a HDMI cable, you need a power supply, you need all these bits so you can hook this microbit up and put some code onto it. That's an awful lot of infrastructure you need to get in place, and this workshop sort of typified my misgivings with the microbit. So we had 2 microbits, USB cable, a battery pack, and a Pi top, which is a Raspberry Pi in a container with a breakout board for the GPIO pins and a bunch of other stuff, and a display. The problem is you need a USB port to actually hook this thing up to, and all the ports are tied up with the mouse and keyboard, and the other final display is housed inside the casing. You can't get to it. So, in order for us to program a microbit, we were given a Raspberry Pi with the instructions on, so this Pi top with the instructions on, and a Lenovo laptop, which again highlights the whole point of my misgivings with the whole microbit thing. I've gone on the record and I've said it a number of times over the years that yes, I think it's a cool, inexpensive gimmick, but it's hampered by the fact that it's almost impossible to develop for them without extra technology. So a big downer on that one, I'm afraid. It was an interesting enough thing once we got it all working, and once everyone realised that actually there wasn't enough USB ports and we had to use these laptops. Okay, second workshop was again using these Pi tops, but using the GPIO breakout board to power a motor which would send a little flying disc into the air. It didn't work because the instructions said to use GPIO pin 4, but the breakout board uses that pin for something else and doesn't tell you. So everyone's scratching their heads trying to work out why, and it's a hardware problem. But we got it working eventually. It was great, fantastic, wonderful. Slightly better, but even so, it's hampered by the fact that the instructions. I mean, because essentially it's a tutorial, right? So normally at a workshop, you go in there and you work alongside the person. Not this time. What you're given is instructions. If the instructions are wrong, no amount of tinkering is going to make it right. So not great. I say we did the soldering workshop. I did a laser cutting workshop. They were both fun and they were sort of easy to get hold of. I took in a talk about Raspberry Pis, sending them into orbit, into the stratosphere. So just sort of, I think it's 17 kilometers above the surface of the Earth, and then guiding them back down, sort of thing. That was interesting. Saw a bit of one about the Raspberry Pi Pico, which is a microcontroller. That was also quite interesting. Talked to a few people. Would love to have bought some Raspberry Pi stuff, but didn't have any. So instead, I ended up going to Bin Planet. Picked up a James Bond book. It looks good. It was 99 pence, which is a ridiculous price for essentially, it looks like a trade book, trade paperback. Now I'm finally here and I'm about to go home. Right, it's been a long day. I've ranted about microbits enough now. So join me next time, dear viewer, for a inking video. In the meantime, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. We'll see you in the next video. Okay, all right, take care now. All right, bye.